Hello, hello, and welcome back to Heart and Mind, or if it's your first time, welcome to Heart and Mind. I'm Dr. Dina McMillan, and this is an exciting show where you get information you will not find anywhere else, I promise. No one else is bringing you this. So, welcome aboard as today we talk about handling your jealousy. This is something that impacts every single one of us sometimes. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. We're going to talk about it today. Now, as you know, this live stream is available every Tuesday night at these times in the US. If you've watched the show before, you know I often bring my friend Melinda Richards on from Australia. She's in Queensland in Australia. She's going to join us today, where it is 11 a.m. So that's a decent hour. I also have some people, my diehards in the UK, where I also work, where in London it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. So welcome aboard if you're watching this, my dear British insomniac. But here are the times, and I hope you not only will join us, but you will tell other people about this show. This is valuable information. You need to know it to understand what's going on in life, in the world, and as our political landscape shifts so quickly. Now, one of the ways that I am so different from everyone else, the other people have different jobs. A lot of them are clinical psychologists, philosophers, sociologists. I'm a social psychologist. Totally different field. And most people don't know what it means. In social psychology, we study how people learn. So we look at the brain. How do people learn? How are they influenced and persuaded? How can you manipulate people? How are they coerced, indoctrinated, and brainwashed? And one of the things I caution you about, I call it the evil science. Now, I'm not using it for evil when I'm informing you of influence mechanisms that are surrounding you in your environment, trying to persuade you of things, trying to get you to do things. Excuse me. I call it the evil science because most social psychologists go into marketing, they go into to try to get you to buy things you don't need, or they go into politics to try to get you to vote for somebody you don't trust. I have worked in the community bringing valuable information to the public through this show, through my books, through my in-person training and workshops and seminars, also through my podcast called Unmasking the Abuser that you can find if you look at any podcast forum. I'm on all platforms, Unmasking the Abuser, where I talk about a lot of the influence mechanisms that are used in personal relationships, and it's valuable information. Now, speaking of valuable information, Dr. Naomi Wolf and Amy Kelly spent a lot of time and huge amounts of energy producing the Pfizer papers. This is the latest analysis of the Pfizer clinical trial documents. You know, that information they wanted to keep secret for 75 years? Go on Amazon and get your copy so you can be well informed, because I can also tell you the tactics that were used are being used already. They're being used again around this bird flu thing. As long as they're successful at manipulating the public this way, that's mass formation, it's called, they're going to keep doing it. So you need to know how to do it. You need to know how they do it. You need to know how to protect yourself. So get the copy of the Pfizer papers, and you'll also be supporting this network. You'll be supporting Daily Clout's valuable work. Now, today, we're talking about handling jealousy. I don't know anyone unless they're, even the psychopaths get jealous sometimes. Everybody experiences jealousy sometimes. But if you don't handle it well, it can cause all sorts of problems, because when it arises, it tends to take over both heart and mind. And it can be a challenge. Now, here's one of the challenges. how the word and the term is used. When we say jealousy, do we mean jealousy or envy? A lot of people use them incorrectly, and we're going to cover both. What's the difference? Envy is wanting what someone else has. Jealousy is fearing someone will take something that you have. So envy is looking at someone's lifestyle or whatever and saying, oh, it bothers me that they have all that. I want that. Jealousy is looking at a relation, usually a personal relationship, an intimate relationship, a friendship, even in the family, and fearing that someone is going to lure a valued person's attention and love and respect away from you. So just think about that for a second. Trump is fully in the process of draining the swamp, but the uncertainty for many is, will he expose the entire pandemic? There's enough public evidence for people to be concerned. Millions injected themselves in this experiment. If you were forced to get the shot to work, travel, or maybe you just trusted the system back then, check out this natural solution formulated by Dr. Peter McCullough in collaboration with the Wellness Company. And they just leveled up their original detox formula for $30 less. Introducing the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, conveniently consolidated into one capsule with 4 times more nattokinase, 500 milligrams of bromelain, and 500 milligrams of turmeric root extract. Nattokinase, an enzyme researched for its anti-clotting effects, may work to break down spike proteins. Combined with bromelain and curcumin, it provides a potent blend for detoxification and cellular support. Crafted with 100% natural ingredients, Ultimate Spike Detox is backed by research, offering effective support for your cells' natural repair and recovery. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. Peter McCullough, a top freedom-fighting doctor who risked it all. Head to dailycloudhealth.com and use the code DailyCloud to get 10% off plus free shipping. Again, that's dailycloudhealth.com and use the code DailyCloud to get 10% off. Get back to that pre-COVID feeling. So we're looking at envy and jealousy today. So are you all thinking about it? Now, if you're watching this on X or Facebook or Rumble, you can sign in and leave me questions and comments, and I can answer them today in real time. Now, of course, you also have the option of, making a comment underneath these sites if you watch the recording. But if you want the answer right now, go ahead and make a comment. Go ahead and ask a question. Envy and jealousy are big deals because they can ruin relationships. And some of the responses you have due to envy and jealousy can get you in a lot of trouble. Now, they are normal, but just because something is normal doesn't mean it's healthy and doesn't mean you need to just let it run rampant. Envy and jealousy can cause mistrust, resentment, controlling behaviors. Ooh, we know about that. And it can also have a terrible impact on your mental health, leading to depression, high anxiety, and it can lower your self-worth. Both envy and jealousy seem to generate the same kind of damage. I just wanted you to take a second, though. Ask yourself, when was the last time I really felt strong feelings of envy or jealousy? Am I feeling it now? Is it causing me anxiety? Is it making me feel I'm less valuable? It's March already, and spring is in the air. One thing that hasn't changed with the seasons is my focus on my well being. And we all know one of the foundations of well being is a good night's sleep. If I could do just one thing to improve my sleep and overall well being, it's taking the number one mineral for that. And it also helps me with focus, stress levels, and mood regulation during the day. Yes, I'm talking about magnesium. Specifically, I'm talking about the magnesium breakthrough by Bioptimizers. The 7 different forms of magnesium in this supplement are involved in over 600 different biochemical reactions in the body. Pretty much every function in your body gets upgraded when you take magnesium, from the quality of your sleep to your brain function, from metabolism to stress levels. As things continue to change at high speed, you have to keep up. Can you do that without a good night's sleep and something to moderate your mood? Do yourself a favor and make magnesium breakthrough part of your daily routine this year so you can get the vitality you need to meet life's challenges. Go to bioptimizers.com/dailyclout now and enter the promo code dailyclout to get 10% off any order. And if you subscribe, not only will you get amazing discounts and free gifts, I love free gifts, you'll make sure your monthly supply is guaranteed. Again, that's bioptimizers.com/dailyclout with the promo code dailyclout. So, are you thinking about envy and jealousy? Are you really clear on what they want, how they differ? Remember, envy is wanting what somebody else has. Jealousy is fearing someone will take something that you value away from you, especially a relationship that really matters to you. They also, here's something interesting that you may not have thought about. When you feel especially a lot of envy, but also jealousy, you may resist going into new situations or meeting new people because the low self-esteem you may have, you may feel that they'll compete with you and you won't win. You end up isolating yourself. Social isolation is linked. If you've watched me, you know this. Social isolation is linked with so many mental health issues and physical health issues. But being really envious and jealous can keep you from going into these situations. We're going to talk about why that happens a little bit more a little later. And it also can cause you to have so poor self-awareness. Now, the secret to a happy life, a secret to growth mindset, anything I advocate on this show is good self-awareness. But if you are so busy picking apart somebody else because you envy them, or you spend all your time and energy putting a box around the person you value so that they don't have a relationship with anyone else, you completely take your eye off the ball with regard to your own faults, your own flaws, your own troublesome behaviors. So anything that interferes with that is a problem. And if it grows unchecked, it can lead to you trying to sabotage someone else. I've seen that a lot in the workplace. Haven't you? Excuse me. People who try to sabotage someone so that they stop getting rewarded and appreciated by the higher ups. It can make you hypercritical. You're looking for things to pick about them because you're so envious of them. Or you're watching them under a microscope to make sure they don't have a relationship with anybody else. And of course, this can lead to conflict and even aggression. Now, I'm going to quickly check a comment. Oh, Roscoe. Roscoe sings. Hey, Roscoe. He's just listening to Roberta Flack. Love Roberta Flack. Oh, so sad that she passed. And saw you were live. Yes, Roscoe, welcome aboard. Now, Roscoe, I want you to know Roscoe needs to come on the show. Roscoe has been one of my most loyal audience members and also makes comments. You can join me in the studio. I don't bite. I absolutely promise I do not bite. So when we're looking back looking at this, has envy or jealousy ever caused you to have any of these behaviors? I want you to be honest with yourself. Think about it. Has it ever led to this? You've heard me rave about how much this product has helped me. What about you? Are you ready to move easily and independently without pain or stiffness holding you back? Do you want to look in the mirror and see a plump, hydrated glow instead of more fine lines and wrinkles? Discover Native Path Collagen, made with only type 1 and type 3 collagen fibers, the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen in your body. It's found in your cartilage, bones, skin, hair, nails, and gut. Types 1 and 3 provide maximum benefits without the need for unnecessary fillers. Native Path Collagen is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners. Plus, it's third-party tested for heavy metals, ensuring purity and safety. Completely flavorless, Native Path Collagen can be added to anything: coffee, smoothies, oatmeal, you name it. Its peptide formula makes it more bioavailable, meaning it's absorbed more easily, and it mixes perfectly without clumping. And the best part, Native Path offers amazing bundle deals. You can get 3 or 6 packs at a fraction of the price of other brands. Wow. With over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, including me, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a 365-day no-risk guarantee, Native Path is a trusted choice. Plus, they offer an 800 number for any questions about usage, recipes, or ingredients, and you'll speak to a real person who's there and ready to help. Join their private Facebook community to share success stories, recipes, and to support each other in this journey called life. Visit getnativepath.com/dailyclout and start your transformation today. That is getnativepath.com/DAILYCLOUT. Well. So, since I don't have Roscoe yet, Roscoe asked a question though. Before I bring my friend Melinda Richards on, Roscoe asked, what about if we feel inferior to someone else? Which I was told is a form of hidden ego, because the focus is still on the self. And then we overeat or give up or let that be an energy drain. There's nothing wrong with using someone else's success to influence what you do. Here's how to turn a spin on that. When you don't have a deprivation mindset, and you don't have some of the mindsets we're going to just talk about in a second that can lead to greater envy and jealousy, because I never leave you hanging on the show. We're not only going to talk about what causes envy and jealousy to increase, we're also going to talk about how you can get them under control and minimize them. But one of the things is, if you look at someone else's success as an indicator that success can happen, we can do things. Hey, look, they did it, so it's possible. It totally changes things. The focus is still on the self, but you're using that person's accomplishment as a motivator, as a spur. And it's a positive focus on the self. And here's something else that happens. Envy and jealousy lead to schadenfreude, taking pleasure in another person's misfortune. Ooh, we have a lot of people like that. I see this a lot. Strangely enough, even though they've only been in office for a little over a month, I see this a lot regarding J.D. Vance. He comes from a very humble background and he is kicking backside. Oh my God. He evokes in the kind of people who have envy and jealousy as a regular way they deal with the world. He evokes a lot of that in them. Donald Trump, even though people have been taught to dislike him, not so much. He comes from a wealthy family. That is actually, he's still moving in the same social class he was born in. J.D. Vance's beginnings could not get more humble. And yet he's vice president, and people are talking about, wow, he was a great pick. I can see him as president. They forget that part of the American mindset, part of the American ethos is that anybody can grow up to be president. They should be celebrating him. He's a smart guy. He wasn't just picked randomly. But so let's continue talking because I want you to get over this whole envy and jealousy thing because it can ruin us. Let's be honest. It can absolutely ruin us. I'm bringing Melinda on board. Now, Melinda is a successful author, former talk show host, influencer. She's on X. So you can follow her on X along with me. Go to @Dr. Dina 1 and follow me on X. And also follow Melinda. You see us link and talk back and forth all the time. She brings an interesting and wonderful perspective. So, Melinda, welcome.
Hello. Hi. I've missed you, Dina. How are you?
I know you were in, going to Washington, off to Washington.
Yes, I know. It was so exciting. And it was really interesting to hear you talk about J.D. Vance because this is the thing that is really noticeable that he's, particularly in America, you know, people were so proud of him and he came from these roots. There was a book, there was a movie, there was all of this kind of really amazing chitty chat about him. And then as soon as he became vice president, it's like so many people are like, oh, wow, hold on a minute. You know, he's out front and center and he's not doing what other vice presidents have done. He's actually being the 2IC, the support person, the person to really bring policies to the ground level and to really bring diplomacy and truth to the table. And I think it's amazing to watch Americans' reactions, particularly the Democrats. I mean, honestly, to see their heads explode. And a lot of that, interestingly, I think is linked to being envious. To being really envious of him.
Absolutely. And speaking thereof, this was Melinda's idea. So I want you all to know, including you, Roscoe, in case you want to come on the show next week. Next week, we're going to do a show based on something Melinda mentioned to me. And we're going to talk about why are people woke and why is woke waning?
Yes.
So I mentioned this at the end of the show, but keep something in mind. If you have any ideas about that, or even if you want to come in the studio, I can have up to 10 people in the studio with me. Or just watch it and send some comments through. This is going to be a really interesting show. And of course, like envy and jealousy, wokeism has been such a big cultural phenomenon for well more than a decade. It's been since the 21st century, it's really taken over, which means
it has. And the interesting thing too, I think, with the show that you're doing today, and thank you for those definitions, because of course I was one of these people that was interchanging envy and jealousy quite a lot. So I've now swung back and gone, okay, that's a very great way to define envy and jealousy is really quite different things. So that was great clarification. But, you know, I really think a lot of what we're talking about is linked. If you see people deeply unhappy with their own lives, if you're seeing people envious of other people, wokeism loves to really engage and inflame victimhood. Wokeism is all about identity politics and giving people excuses for not being that other person and telling them, oh, well, it's okay because, you know, you're Black or you're transgender or you know, you're a woman, so you don't even get to be. And so it really, I think the two topics are really closely related because it inflames jealousy and envy. And in Australia, we have a really big cultural phenomenon. If there are any Aussies listening, you will understand what I'm saying. At a cultural level, at a strategic level, Australia has this thing called socialist envy, and we call it the tall poppy syndrome. But essentially what it is socialist envy on a really mass scale. So Australia's got some really big challenges culturally to overcome envy and envy at a population level, but also at an individual level, because we tend to fuel that envy a little bit here.
Well, I want to talk to you though, because in order to, we talked about how you make change. And one of the things that I keep mentioning is, in order to change anything about yourself that you see as flawed, you really have to motivate yourself, because it's painful to do. And it requires effort. It requires discipline. So a lot of people don't really, is it envy you fear being replaced? No, that's usually jealousy. That was Roscoe, by the way. Hey, you know, this isn't the Roscoe show. The rest of you can actually ask me questions too, you know. But let's motivate yourself to start to get your envy and jealousy under control. And we can start by seeing what you lose by it. Because although having an aspiration is wonderful and that motivates people, it doesn't motivate as many people as fear of loss. Here's what you lose. Envious and jealous people are more likely to hold grudges. They are hyper competitive, creating serious tension in their relationships. Whether you're jealous or envious, have you ever had somebody where every time you talk to them and you had an accomplishment, they rain on your parade? We talked about this before. They rain on your parade, or they don't really seem happy with you, or they're like, is that really what you want? Or do you think they really want you in that position? They do everything they can to keep you from really rising, because they're hyper competitive. They're very envious. They don't want you to outdo them. And there could be jealousy there too, that they're afraid if you get this higher position that they will not be seen as good enough and they're going to be replaced. So the reason for looking at them together is like what Melinda said with regard to tall poppy syndrome. Excuse me. I've had way too many meetings this week. They feed off each other. People who are envious are often very jealous, and vice versa. Okay, let's talk about what increases jealousy and envy. Low self-confidence. Whether it's valid or not, I know someone I'm close to is, I would say, somebody prone to jealousy and envy, because they constantly focus not on what they do well, not on what they have, not their attributes and their wonderful things about themselves. They focus on their flaws. And there's a lot for women, there's a lot in our society that encourages women to do this, because the more they can get you to focus on your flaws, the easier it is to sell you stuff that claim to fix it. Here's another thing tied to performance. A lot of people feel I'm only as good as my last win. If you're that kind of person, you're going to feel more jealousy and more envy on more often. Here's another thing, going through a rough patch. When you're going through a rough patch and people around you aren't, it can spur feelings of envy and jealousy. It's like, why am I doing it so tough and they aren't? Well, you know, I'm a good person. I work hard. Why is this happening to me? Lack of firm goals. I thought this panda just epitomized procrastination, okay? So you may have made goals, and I have other people I'm close to that do this. They will spend hours and hours and hours talking with you about goals and what they want to do and whatever, and they don't actually move to meet a single one of them. It's always what the Italians called domani, which means I'll do it tomorrow. Here we go. This is the inspiration for the whole show. When I did the show a couple of weeks ago about being addicted to your devices, being addicted to your phone, part of the research I did, because I do research this stuff before I do it, talked about the real problem that a lot of young people have with low self-confidence, anxiety, depression that we mentioned, based on Instagram. Because people become very skilled at making their lives seem perfect. And Melinda, you said something about it being all pretense, about it not
Well,
being
it's funny. I just watched the Netflix show. I don't normally watch these shows on Netflix, but a sort of a real kind of murder investigation and murder mystery type documentary where it talked about, a young couple go off and they start traveling around America. And he ends up murdering her. But it talks about right at the start how they met, backgrounds on all of them. It was actually really quite well put together. But then what you see is the background of her blogging and posting on Instagram, and they show you the Instagram photos of this couple. And if you were to see the Instagram photos, you would have absolutely no clue as to what's going on in the background. And it's really one of those ground zero moments for anyone who takes Instagram or even Facebook too seriously, is have a look at this documentary, because it is really another Gabby Petito. That's it. Yes. And it's a brilliant, it's a brilliant expose also in a person that wanted to make a living from showing a perfect life. So you can see all the outtakes of the videos that she was making and how many tries that she had in trying to make the perfect video, get the lighting right, get the words right. And that doesn't all just happen automatically, does it? And what it does is it shows this, I can only make money and really only monetize this trip around America and my really amazing lifestyle if I show my amazing lifestyle as amazing and as perfect. And that is millions of people, and millions of people are doing that on Instagram and Facebook. Millions and millions.
That's one of the things they suggested, if for anybody, especially young people suffering from any kind of anxiety or depression, that they need to stay off of social media for a while, because what people are showing you is not the reality, but this constant exposure to idealized competitors makes you feel lacking. And it's also something that reminds me of the studies they did, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where they exposed men to porn, soft porn. We're not even talking hard porn, soft porn like Playboy and other sites, where they showed, these beautiful women. And every time you just flicked and kept seeing all these beautiful women, and they noted by watching even that exposure over a week significantly lowered their attraction to their partner, their real life partner. And it really does have an impact. What you walk past, what you see out of the side of your eye, I can tell you as a social psychologist, that's where we make our money, because we know how powerful it is if you just look at something. So many people, so many of you, not this show, because my audience members are geniuses, but other people have said, oh, it's just fiction, or it's just an ad. I don't even pay attention to that. Oh, yes, you do. So you've got to be careful about exposing yourself to people who idealize their lives. Now, let's talk a little minute about what makes jealousy worse. And before I do, may I make a comment so that everybody can have a little bit of a laugh? Roscoe Singh says, I am that panda. oh, dear me.
We're all that panda sometimes, aren't we? Can we just be the panda sometimes? We have to allow ourselves to be the panda. Let's give ourselves permission to be the panda sometimes.
Oh, sometimes we're all the panda. And he also says that I said the Nomadland movie was going to get some young person killed. Yeah, just the whole mindset of put everything on social media. I mentioned that I have a sister that was getting a divorce, and I only found out by looking on Facebook. She was carrying out her whole life on Facebook, wasn't even informing her family members. And I come from, it's a large, small family, large/small, in that I have two parents with no siblings, past grandparents when we were kids. So we're talking maybe second cousins once removed that I saw when I was little, but not after that. But I have four siblings. So in a way, having five kids, that's a large family, but I don't have extended family. So having a sister that does this, well, it's not like she'd have to contact a lot of people, but she didn't even bother to tell us. Now, here's another one of my big bugaboos. Inattentive and flirtatious partners. Now, that harkens back to the social media again as well, because they have entire shows where you have some of these male influencers talking to women about showing everything they have on social media, or doing OnlyFans or any of this stuff. If you have a flirtatious or inattentive partner, it is natural and normal to wonder, do I really have that person's love and devotion? And it can make jealousy worse. Past betrayals can also make jealousy worse, because if you've ever been cheated on, it can make you suspicious. Now, if it goes crazy to the point where you're putting that person under surveillance, you're checking their phone, you're constantly making them report to you. I've known people, of course, I work with the extremes, I apologize, where they get 50, 60, 80 calls a day or texts a day from their partner. And if they don't respond immediately, the partner becomes suspicious. Weak commitment. I've told people, I don't care if that partner tells you it's just a piece of paper. I can tell you right now, it don't mean a thing if you ain't got that ring. And I don't mean an engagement ring, because sometimes an engagement ring is a placating gesture to a nagging partner to make them feel like there's a commitment. If you're not married, there's no commitment. And if there's a weak commitment, or even if you are married, if you have someone who just phones in their life with you, it can actually increase your jealousy, and it's perfectly normal to feel that way. Projection. This I learned about as a kid. Our mother told us, watch out for the people, because military families often live very close together and you know each other's business. Watch out for families or where the husband is really jealous and possessive of the wife, because almost 100% of the time it's because he's cheating. So you would think that somebody that cheats would be very lackadaisical about what their partner did, like that song Part-Time Lover, where he's like, oh, maybe she's got a part-time lover too. That's not how it happens in real life. In real life, jealous people the cheating people are often extremely possessive and jealous, because they expect their partner to be just as bad as they are. And here's something else that can make you jealous. Being depressed and anxious. It can make you paranoid about everything. Everybody hates you. Nobody really loves you. They all want you to die. So if you are feeling depressed and anxious, realize your perceptions of the world are going to be skewed. Or if you're with somebody that's going through this, realize their perceptions are going to be skewed. So understand, it can make their jealousy and possessiveness of the people that they have relationships with worse. Okay, let's look at envy, because remember, envy is different. Envy is wanting what somebody else has. What can make it worse? Being around somebody that's always bragging about what they have, what they've accomplished, how much their stuff costs, how many people admire them. Now, realize if you're following people on social media who claim to have this perfect life, you are setting yourself up by putting yourself in a situation with someone who makes their living off bragging. So why would you do that to yourself? If you get teased or bullied about and compared to someone else, it can make you more envious. If they tease you, yeah, but I've got this car. I remember a time when there was a literal mic drop by Obama about Donald Trump saying, yeah, but he's not president. Drop. He's been president twice, so that's oops. But being teased or bullied can make the envy worse. Here's another thing. DEI or unfair policies. Yes, that's coming from me, but if you watch the show before, you know I don't believe in this. Why? You got everybody. Jessica just got promoted. Now, Jessica is our Black trans neurodivergent. So everybody make her feel welcome. And you know you've been working for 2 years to get that promotion. And this person got promoted because they ticked off some identity boxes. That can make envy worse. And I would say in this case, you can't really say the person is wrong because it is unfair. It is patently unfair to do this. And they have done studies first in the UK, which came out about 8 months ago. Then about 6 months ago, they did a study in the US that diversity policies actually make divisions worse between people. Diversity hires and promotions make things worse for people. And often a diversity hire is not a super qualified person who would have been overlooked otherwise. They will hire somebody based on the fact that they feel they can control them. So many times, like with former Professor Gay, the president of Harvard, it's somebody that's underqualified, plagiarized their dissertation. People like me who went to Stanford, didn't put my race on my application, had to struggle to get through facing racism and sexism. But I didn't plagiarize a thing. Everything I have, I've earned. And you look at stuff like that and it's like, DEI doesn't help us. So I'm glad the new administration is getting rid of it. History of failures. If every time you do something, you fall on your backside, but I want you to keep in mind, do yourself a favor if this is you. Look up all the people who failed, succeeded big. And I mean, there were over 300 different companies approached by Colonel Sanders before somebody got smart enough to take that chicken recipe. Okay. So, Roscoe, now come on. Is Roscoe the only person in the audience with enough courage? I won't bite you. I can't bite you through the computer. Roscoe says the DEI is so wrong. I do think Robin DiAngelo is genuinely mentally ill. I don't think it's malice on her part. That's a whole, let's talk about that next week when we talk about wokeism, because wokeism is extremely appealing to people with cluster B personality disorders. So that's like bipolar disorder, histrionic, narcissism, antisocial personality disorder. People that have emotional imbalance are very attracted to the woke because it actually encourages that overreaction to things. It encourages narcissism. It encourages vindictiveness towards anybody that has something that you want. And it tells you that you won't be held accountable for anything you do wrong. We're going to talk about that more next week. Don't miss that. Don't miss that. Now, here's something that most people don't talk about. I have found there are cultures that actually encourage zero-sum thinking. And even though a large proportion of that population can be successful, it spurs enormous resentment from other people and causes a moral chasm in the people themselves. Zero-sum thinking is if someone wins, somebody has to lose. If you have that mindset, get rid of it. Look at Elon Musk. He's proof positive that you can keep like, nobody's doing this, I'm going to do it, I'm going to make a lot of money. He's not taking from anybody's industry. He's just doing his own thing, happily going along, jumping up and down, fathering lots of kids. That can be another show. But zero-sum thinking, if there's one thing to get rid of this. It's going to keep you in deficit all of your life. Here's another thing. If any of you are ethnic minorities, women, neurodivergent, only have one leg, whatever, if you fit into any of these minority categories, okay, what makes envy worse is perception of yourself as a victim. This is critical race theory. This is why Trump got rid of it. He had enough people talk to him and say, critical race theory is causing people to feel like they will never be accepted. Everybody that doesn't look like them resents them and wants to take something from them. So you're looking at people that have something and you think it can never be yours, so you envy it. You don't try to achieve it yourself. You just feel envy. And last but not least, what makes envy worse? Uncertainty about the future. Now, this means we have to be very careful about the Democrats and the woke, because right now they have a level of uncertainty they haven't had probably in their lifetimes if they're in their early 20s. We, on the other hand, have been battling this for a long time. We had uncertainty about the future. It's like, what are these numpties going to do next? But bringing facts, evidence, common sense, transparency. For those of us who want that, we have more clarity about the future than we have probably in a long, long time. So be careful. We're going to talk about that next week too, because this uncertainty about the future is going to make the woke even more resentful of any accomplishments and pluses. Anybody besides Roscoe? Roscoe, thank you for the panda comment. I needed that laugh. Thank you very much. Anybody else have a comment? Please just check in on X, check in on Rumble or Daily Cloud. Type it in, get a free answer. So let's get to the good stuff. How do you reduce it? You know I'm always going there. I'm going to talk about how can you actually get the stuff under control, because faking and pretending while trying to wait for your opportunity to stab somebody in the back does not help any of us. We just end up with a lot of dead people. Okay. Number one, make compelling goals for yourself. Make goals for yourself that are realistic, but get you excited every time you think about them. You got to stand up. You got to move around. Ooh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Lose those nasty friends. If you have friends, I know have known, now Melinda, you know you've known women like this. And it goes for guys too. You have groups of friends whose whole reason for being is picking apart other people. So they sit around, anybody that has something they envy, they sit around picking them apart. Or you have people who are trying to make you feel your relationship's insecure because they are envious of you. So they're like.
And Dina, I think on this one too, I think it's really important to recognize these big social agendas that a lot of these people jump on, and they're feeding their own desire to be popular. They're feeding their desire to get attention, and they're taking these kind of social safe bets, if you like. And they like to sort of ostracize and talk about other people that may be questioning the big social agenda narratives like climate and COVID and Ukraine and all of these things that are being shoved down our throats. And I think that they are covering, some of this groupthink covers inadequacies in understanding the deeper parts of this. And there is a little bit of envy and there is a little bit of jealousy that swirls around people that do stand up and really do a bit of a deep dive and then have their own views that may not necessarily be this view of the groupthink kind of crowd that want to jump on these bandwagons, and they don't like it. And I think there's a deep-seated envy really deep down. If they really thought about it, they would like to be brave enough to have their own views and have the courage of their convictions as well. And I think when they're called out on it, that's when you get this kind of head explosion that seems to be going on now, because the tide's turning and it's moving away from it. And a lot of people are coming on board, but a lot of these other people are, they're stuck. they're stuck because they're doubling down because their ego won't let them change their mind, that their ego won't let them move. And I think this is a really important part of this sort of envy conversation, because they can then become really, really upset with those who may not always take on board the propaganda and the psyops and the brainwashing, and they feel exposed. And this could create envy as well, I think.
Well, also too, you have to remember, one of the things I said that can also make this worse is that people who don't want to fix what's wrong in their own lives, by picking apart other people or making it seem like it's not that good what this person has, it's a way to try to reduce your envy.
Yes.
So if you have anybody, now I would say with regard to your personal relationships, you should only give advice if asked. People who are trying to pull things apart all the time and always criticizing everybody else, they've got issues of their own, and they're not a good influence on you. Find new friends. Here's another. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Make your own path,
the hardest
your
thing
own road.
The hardest.
Yes, become more self-reliant. One of the things about a growth mindset, and one of the things about what I advocate, and Melinda will tell you, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. I am very self-reliant. If I would rather have no friends than have bad friends. I'm just not going there. Here is another thing you can do. Positive. So we've been talking about some of the stuff you need to lose. Here's something you can increase, like the positive about getting goals that are really exciting for you. Do everything you can to boost your self-esteem. So leave the panda behind and start small. Don't make your goals too big or make them require too many steps at the initial stages. Make them realistic. Start small. Reward yourself for every step you take, but do what you can to boost your self-esteem. And if you are somebody that's feeling a lot of envy or jealousy, I use this picture because jealousy is also hard, especially if you're the person who was broken up with. I've had my heart crushed, so don't think I'm immune. I have a sister who's always the crusher. I've been the crushee many times, okay? Don't keep a lot of reminders around. Take the person's photo off your phone. Don't stalk them online to their social media. And that goes for the envy too. I'm not just talking about those influencers that you've never met, that you keep watching their so perfect life. On a smaller level, anybody you envy or feel jealous of, kind of pull away, minimize the contact. Don't look at them all the time, because you need to bolster yourself, and you can't do that if you're too worried about what they're up to. And here's something specifically, and this is one of the few times you'll ever hear me advocate negativity. If you are feeling jealous because someone broke your heart, take some time and list everything that you don't like about them and everything they did wrong. And when you get tempted to have a few drinks and drunk text them, "Oh, I miss you, is that a thing? You're my world." Any of that stuff. Instead, go to your list that you have on your phone under notes. Put it on notes so it's on your phone, okay? And look at all the things about them you really didn't like. Read that instead, okay? This is the only time. And once you get to the point where you're more healed, lose the list, because you don't want to be a negative person, okay? You don't want to stay fixed on that, but there's a time and place for everything. And there's a time and place for negativity. And I would also advise you of this. If you have a flirtatious or uncommitted partner, consider emotionally moving away from them. And if you need some help knowing how to do that, contact me. I can show you. I can even also do a show on how to get somebody to commit. I've done it in real life. I had a few hours unexpectedly with a group of women. 5 of the 6 were living with their partners. I said, why are you living with somebody you're not married to? Gave them some advice about how to get this guy to commit, because it was men that didn't want to commit to these women, and got invited to weddings. I came back a few months later. 4 of the 5 had the rings, got the engagement and the date. Because remember, I told them an engagement doesn't count unless you have a wedding date. Okay. The 5th one admitted that she was too self-conscious about how much her partner really cared about her to take the steps that I suggested. So if you want to know how to get somebody to commit, let me know. I can help you with that. But in the meantime, if you have somebody who is not committed and who flirts all the time, start emotionally pulling away. You can look online and find advice on how to do that. You can hire me. Go on my website. I will be more than happy to help you. You can hire me to help you do this. But start looking somewhere else, because everybody deserves, if you are offering love and devotion, you deserve to have it in return. But it won't happen unless you both expect it and demand it. Increase your spirituality / mindfulness. Go according to your beliefs. But the more you will look up and say, okay, help me through this, the more you will find answers that come that you never expected them to come. It actually works. Find successful, supportive friends. Find people who are doing so well themselves, they don't have room to try to compete with you. They don't have room to try to pull everybody else around them down so that they can feel better about themselves. Find successful, supportive friends. Lose the nasty friends that are hyper competitive and trying to pull everybody down. Spend time with these folks instead. And I would say, last suggestion, get professional counseling or therapy. If you're having a hard time doing this, don't just try to do it by yourself. There are people professionally that can help you. And always, always keep learning and growing and keep your eyes forward. Keep looking forward. Look at those goals. Look at what you're achieving. Look at anybody who succeeds. Hey, people can succeed. Yay, that's going to be me. Now, any questions or comments, you can send them to me on, as I said, X is a really great way to reach me. Now, Melinda, what do you think about all this while we have a couple of minutes left?
Oh, look, I think it's really wonderful, because it hurts. It hurts to be envious of somebody else. It hurts to be jealous. I mean, I am always count myself as not envious of other people or jealous of other people, but that's not 100% of the time. As much as I'd love to be able to say, and I always say to people, jealousy is a wasted emotion. Envy is a wasted emotion. It's just a waste of time. But when it does happen, it happens to all of us. It really does hurt. So this is a great show, because we have to rise above it. We all have to rise above it and be so happy and proud of everyone around us that is doing really well. We have to spread the love, and we have to remove ourselves from these emotions that are just normal emotions of being a human being. So it's hard and it hurts. So it's important to keep it in check. It's a very, very important part of a well-rounded and a successful life. You are never going to be successful if you look over the fence and you're envious of somebody else, or if you're jealous of your partner. You will never be successful, and it's a trap. And it's a really great reminder, fantastic reminder of this.
Well, you know what? I always tell myself, if I feel envy of anyone, jealousy, I don't really have. I mean, my daughter is an only child, so I don't really have anybody to feel jealous of right now, and I'm not in a relationship right now, in case somebody's really nice. Mm-hmm. But as far as envy goes, if I feel even a twinge of envy, I look at it and say, okay, what can I be doing more for my life? What can I do to reach my goals? I use that as a sign that
Exactly.
I've been too panda. So that's our code now. I'm being too panda. I'm being too passive. I need to really get going again. I use it to spur me.
That's a really powerful comment. That's a really powerful comment, because if we're envious of something or somebody, then we're not paying attention to how to make the world a better place, and we're not paying attention to our own goals. And I do have to say that it is one really destructive part of Australian society, which is our tall poppy syndrome. I actually do write about it in my book. And we, as you know, we're a very wealthy country, and we need to be able to move around that and beyond that to be even more successful, because it's hindered our country in a lot of ways, and it hinders people collectively and individually. And so it's a really
Absolutely.
great thing to keep your finger on. It's a very powerful comment. That why are you feeling that way? Well, you've taken your eye off the ball, because it's, you know,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
So next time, we're a little over. Hopefully that'll be okay. But next time,
It's probably my fault.
and why is woke waiting? So make sure you don't miss it. It's really key information that affects all of us. And thank you for joining me here today. Thank you, Melinda. And I will see
Thank
you all
you.
next week.
Great to
Bye.
see you then. Bye.